Welcome to Asian Geopolitics. Welcome to the daily geopolitical sequence. So today we will raise a question: is vaccine geopolitical weapon for Chinese? So we'll try to answer to this question in this video. So as you know, the Popular Republic of China has developed two vaccines. One is developed by Sinopharm, and the other one by Sinovac. So for the former one, Sinopharm, the vaccine is called BPIP Cov, and the other one Coronavac. So actually, when media talk about the Chinese vaccine, they do not specify it. They mostly refer actually to the Sinopharm one, the BPIP Cov vaccine, because the Sinopharm one is a Chinese state-owned vaccine, and it's probably the most reliable one based on the clinical trials that has been performed in a couple of countries. So actually, due to the fact that it is a state-owned company, the Popular Republic of China is trying to use it clearly as a political weapon and to try to not only to find clients but also to develop some strategic, let's say, geopolitical relationship with countries. So they are targeting countries first with which they would like to develop relationship. So for example, we know that for Popular Republic of China, the target is to let's say to target those low-income countries, like most African countries. So that's why tonight the Popular Republic of China decided to supply 10 million vaccine doses to the COVAX mechanism. So the COVAX mechanism is a mechanism which has been set up by the Worldwide Health Organization in order to supply, let's say, those low-income countries who are unable to buy those doses, to, let's say, to push laboratories to participate to this mechanism. And China actually would like to be, let's say, the country which supplies all those third world countries. And that's why, due to the fact that now all the rich countries are turning to those, let's say, very expensive vaccine, like the one developed by Pfizer or the one developed by Moderna. The Chinese one actually is kind of substitute for all those countries who are unable to pay those very expensive vaccines. And we see, very interestingly, that those countries who now are turning to Popular Republic of China is countries who have already developed since years very intense relationship, which could be, for example, country like United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, it could be Serbia, Hungary. It's actually a very interesting case, for example, with the Hungarian case, because the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, has decided, if you like, to break the ranks of the European Union, which was supposed, let's say, to order only vaccine which have been let's say, which receive a prior approval from the European Organization of Medicine. The Chinese one has still not received such approval from those dedicated organizations. And but despite that, the Hungarian, let's say, the health organization, the Hungarian one, has approved it, despite the fact that it has not been approved at the European Union level. So Hungary broke, as I say, the ranks and decided still to order 5 million doses to this Sinopharm laboratory for this vaccination, while Serbia, which is not part of the European Union, so is not bound by this procedure, has ordered 1 million doses. And we know that those two countries are the two gateways for the Popular Republic of China in Europe. And by supplying those countries with vaccination, is a strengthen, let's say, the relationship with those countries. They strengthen their soft skills towards the Serbian population, towards the Hungarian population, showing that the links are as strong as perhaps with the European Union. So, and we see that it becomes very clear that China is using this vaccine as a soft skill power and as a weapon to, let's say, to increase its influence. Because, for example, a country like Serbia was unable, let's say, the European Commission did not decide to order any vaccination for countries just outside of the European Union, despite that they are just neighbors of the European Union, like, for example, a country like Serbia, or, for example, Ukraine. Ukraine had to order another Chinese vaccine, so not the one developed by the state-owned Chinese firm Sinopharm, but the one developed by Sinovac, which is the vaccine is called Coronavac. Actually, is right now not so popular compared with the BP vaccine due to the fact that the Coronavac received a very low effectiveness rate. So right now, as far as I know, the Coronavac vaccine has only been ordered by Ukraine due to the fact that, as the Prime Minister of Ukraine said, Volodymyr Zelensky, the rich country has taken all the vaccine that are supplying that have been produced, and the middle income or low income countries, like, for example, a country like Ukraine, is unable to buy, do not have the financial means to buy all those vaccination. And as the fact that the European Union do not help any neighbors of the European Union, like countries, as I said, Serbia, Ukraine. So those countries like Serbia and Ukraine turns to any Chinese vaccine that can help them. So we see that it clearly it shows that those countries cannot depend on the European Union and have to turn to China or even to Russia for some of them. So we see that those countries. So we see that China is clearly strengthening links due to the fact that we know that the main target, the main objective of the Chinese President Xi Jinping is to establish what he calls the Silk Road. So we know that it is a way, let's say, to create interdependency between countries through maritime ways or through land or through land. So that's why China has developed, we know, a certain number of projects in a certain number of countries like Pakistan, Mozambique, in order to increase the dependency of those countries to the Popular Republic of China. And let's say the vaccination is another layer of such a dependency towards China. And in addition to that, the Popular Republic of China has decided not only also to produce in Popular Republic of China, but also to produce locally on this vaccination. For example, they are now building factories in the United Arab Emirates and Egypt, which are also supplied by this vaccine, the Chinese vaccine, in order, let's say, to gain some market share in those countries and to establish strong relationship with the Popular Republic of China. So instead of producing himself and gaining some profit, they prefer, let's say, to share the profit, but at the same time to have a long-term relationship to create dependency with this vaccination towards those countries. And we will see tomorrow the Russians also have exactly the same strategy than the Chinese, meaning create geopolitical dependency with those countries. So probably China will probably produce locally, not only in Egypt, but and in the United Arab Emirates, but probably also we can imagine that they will produce it in Turkey. Actually, Turkey has requested to produce it also, Peru, Jordan, Chile, Mexico. So we see all those countries who are currently buying this Sinopharm vaccination will probably also at some point probably perhaps produce it locally, because China, I understand that it's a very long term, let's say, issue that we are facing here. I mean, this vaccine is not only one shot and that it's over. I mean, it's clearly people will need to be vaccinated for years, maybe for decades. We don't know exactly at this stage how long, but so clearly it's a long term. And so the strategy of China is to create such a dependency, to create, let's say, a network of countries who are clearly will be the next allies of China, and let's say to turn for some of them who were being, let's say, former American or Russian allies, like Egypt, like the United Arab Emirates, who are clearly had American islands, to show that now their islands, their alliance with Popular Republic of China is much stronger than the one with the American or Russian, and the vaccination is clearly the best way to prove that now the, let's say, the vaccine diplomacy is much more stronger than perhaps any other tools or any other alliance that have existed so far.